Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Silver Path AI. My name is Shannon, and I am your host for this episode. You know, this has happened to many of us before, this scenario. We visit our parent, and it's the weekend. We've been working all week. The house was clean the last time we saw them, but this time we walk in, and the house is not clean. Mom or dad seem confused. The refrigerator has expired food in it. But when we mention it, immediately we get defensive mode. And mom or dad saying, you know what, I'm fine. There's no reason for you to, worry about me. So we get in our cars, we drive home. But on the drive, we're worried sick. But we're also feeling really guilty because we even brought it up, right? So if that sounds familiar, then this episode is definitely for you. Um, Please like, share, and subscribe with someone that you think might be going through a similar situation, or even someone that might need some help with mom or dad because they're aging, as all of our parents are, and they need some assistance. So we're going to talk about why having this conversation is just so hard for us. Um, and actually, while we're talking, we'll talk about three different reasons why. Reason number one is the fear of damaging the relationship. We don't want to insult our parent. We don't want them to feel like they're a burden to us in any way. And we don't want to be seen as taking over their life. We didn't like it when we were younger and they kept telling us what to do, right? And so, of course, they're not going to like it because they're older and they're our parent and they really don't want us telling them what to do either. Reason number two, um, we want to acknowledge their fears underneath what they're going through. Accept that they might feel helpless or like they're losing their independence. They might feel as if they admit that they need help, that it feels like they're admitting that they're failing. Or they could be afraid of what actually comes next. Might it be a nursing home or some other type of care facility, you know, that comes along with it. Reason number three, sometimes families just wait too long. Um, Most families, unfortunately, have this important conversation, after a crisis has actually happened. Maybe a fall, a hospital stay, or an accident, right? The crisis conversations are more emotional, more rushed, and more likely to go badly if we are waiting too long to have them. The best time to talk about a crisis or a situation is before things get critical. So let's now talk a little bit about what we shouldn't be doing. Um, these three approaches that we're going to talk about, they almost always backfire. One is the ambush approach, the other is the command approach, and then the third one is the fear approach. So the ambush approach is where we all get together, all the siblings, and confront mom and dad all at once. It feels like what we're doing is an intervention, and that's what we're calling it. But unfortunately, the parent feels like we're ganging up on them, and immediately they shut down. With the command approach, we start giving off commands. You need to stop driving. You have to move. You can't live alone anymore. We're taking away their choices even before the conversation gets a chance to start. And then we've got the fear approach, leading with worst case scenarios in our conversations. Well, what if you fall and no one finds you for 7 or 8 days? This creates panic and defensiveness, but it has never created an open environment for sharing and having a conversation. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the right mindset to have before we actually start to have this conversation with mom or dad, or maybe both of them. So before we even say a single word, let's get clear on three things. Number one, our goal is conversation, not conclusion. So we're not trying to solve everything in one sitting, right? We're opening the door, but we're not pushing them through it because it's just an opening, it's the beginning. Number two, we're always going to validate their feelings because their feelings matter more than our personal timeline. So even if we're right, being right too loudly causes us to be the loser in a situation. We lose the conversation. Number three, always remember that this is about them, not our worry or our anxiety. We want to lead with love, empathy, compassion, and curiosity, never with fear or even urgency. So let's talk about how to start the conversation. Now that we've talked about, the right mindset before starting having the conversation. The best conversation starters are when we say things like, Mom, I've noticed you seem more tired lately. How are you really feeling? That's the observation approach. It opens the door without accusation and it lets them lead the conversation. We might say something like, Dad, I've been thinking about the future and I want to make sure I understand what's important to you. Can we talk about that? This is called the future planning approach. It positions the conversation as planning and not crisis, and it gives the parent the control that they need and that they deserve. We might say something like, I was reading about a family in the newspaper the other day, and they're going through something similar, and it made me think about our family. Can I share with you what I read? This we call the story approach. It takes the pressure off of the parent personally and it creates distance from the emotion because it didn't really happen to them, it happened to someone else, and now they can see themselves from a different angle within that story that you're telling them. We might also want to say something like, I need your help figuring out something. I worry about you and I don't know what to do with that worry. Can you help me to understand what you need? This flips the dynamic, right? Now they're helping you, which is what they've always done. They're the parent. It reduces their defensiveness significantly. But that might not go as easily as I made it sound. Of course, there will be times when the parents will push back. Some common responses are, I'm fine, I don't need help. You're trying to put me in a home. You're treating me like a child. We'll talk about it later. And with all of these responses, they're valid, right? Because more than likely the parent is talking and coming from a place of fear. So we're not going to argue. We're going to validate. I hear you. I just love you. And I want to make sure we have a plan together. Not because something is wrong, but because I want to get it right while we have time. We might say something else like, you're right, and I'm sorry if I came across that way. I want to hear what you want. That's the whole point of this conversation. When parents say, you know what, let's put it on the back burner, we'll talk about it later, we might even want to say something like, okay, I just want you to know that I'm here whenever you're ready and that I love you dearly. Now let's talk a little bit about some practical tips for having the conversation. We definitely want to choose the right time and place. It's not a holiday dinner with everyone watching, but it can be and it should be a calm, private, one on one moment. It's not a conversation that we're only going to have one time. It's not a one time talk. We're going to plant seeds. We're going to give mom or dad a time to process, and we're going to come back and massage those seeds gently, time after time. Sometimes we may need to bring a neutral third party if needed. That neutral third party might be able to hear things and say things that a parent will take differently because they're a professional. This neutral third party can be a doctor, a social worker, or a care coordinator. Each one of them can help to facilitate the conversation. We want to focus on what they can control, not what they're losing, but what they get to decide. We can let them know you get to choose who helps you and how. We don't want to write down everything when we first start to begin to have this conversation with mom or dad or both. We don't want to show up with legal documents or show up with paperwork or pen and a pad because those items can signal crisis and they can create a panic. We don't want them to feel anxiety. We don't want them to feel panic or that they're in some type of crisis because it can cause them to shut down. Sometimes the conversation can just be too hard to have alone, and you might need that professional support. And here are some signs that you might need that in more quickly than what you thought. You've had the same conversation multiple times with no progress. There's genuine cognitive decline affecting their judgment from day to day. Family members just can't agree on what needs to happen next. And your parent refuses all help, but you guys can clearly see that they're at risk. You may even be managing the situation from another state. Well, this is where Silver Path Senior Services can help. We can attend family meetings as a neutral professional voice. We can assess what level of support is actually needed. We can help families have structured, productive conversations about what next steps need to be taken, and we can give families objective information so that all decisions are based on facts and not fear. So let's go ahead and recap what we talked about today. We discerned that the best time to have the conversation is before there is a crisis. The best way to have it is with curiosity and love, not commands and fear. We want to make sure that we normalize the difficulty. This is one of the hardest conversations that families will ever have to have. If it feels uncomfortable, then that's completely normal. It is an uncomfortable situation and conversation. If you're in the Las Vegas Valley and you need support navigating this conversation, or even navigating what comes after it, Silver Path Senior Services is here. Call us for a complimentary consultation. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe for more episodes. New content is uploaded every week to help Las Vegas families navigate senior care. Again, my name is Shannon with Silver Path Senior Services. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.